My colleague on RT America, Caleb Maupin, is one of the smartest political operators on the continent. And I wanted to talk to him tonight about US media and US politics, and I'm glad to say he agreed. Caleb, thank you for joining us as always. Let's start with your president. Where is he at the moment? Does he know he's there? And what is he up to?
Indeed. People are looking at Joe Biden, and especially as he seems to get a little tired in the summer heat and wondering exactly what's going on. He's got an infrastructure plan that is subject to constant negotiation. There does not seem to be even a clear consensus within his own party about what it will and will not include. A lot of chaos. We've got the Vice President, Kamala Harris, making some woke jokes before U.S. Navy graduates that aren't exactly going over, and many criticizing her tweets around Memorial Day. This is a situation where the country is still in ruins following the pandemic. We've got infrastructure falling apart. That was a problem long before the pandemic came along. Joe Biden gave us an optimistic joint address to Congress, but we're waiting to see some action.
Now, what's in his plan?
Well, at this point, he wants to spend $6 trillion on all kinds of things that would include fixing up the roads of the country, securing the bridges of the country, power plants, water treatment facilities. And the country is really in need of this. I don't know if
I was going to say, that sounds all good news to me.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, look, for the past several decades, the country has just been decaying. We have municipalities across the United States that are in shambles. They're literally unpaving the roads. They actually have this machine they call a reclaimer that pulls up the asphalt, pulverizes it, and replaces a paved road with dirt road. I kid you not. And in a number of states throughout the United States, you have municipalities that are so bankrupt they cannot afford to maintain paved roads, and we are unpaving our roads. You know, while in developing countries like China and Nicaragua, they are paving new roads. We in the United States, supposedly the richest country in the world, are unpaving our roads. I mean, we saw the disaster a few years back with the drinking water in Flint, Michigan. We've seen power plants that just collapsed. That happened in Texas. You know, the power grid just popped this summer and left people throughout the state without electricity in the freezing cold. You know, we have a big infrastructure problem. While our government has been so interested in investing in bombs and tanks and drones and weapons of mass destruction and military spending and military bases around the world, America has been left behind. And both previous presidents, Obama and Trump, both promised they were going to do something about it and didn't. So now we will see if Biden will actually do something about it. But this $6 trillion plan has got his own party divided. It's got the Republicans up in arms. They are talking about all kinds of compromises that will happen. I'm waiting to see what actually happens with this plan.
Now, you mentioned Kamala Harris and her woke jokes. That sounds entirely in character to me. Tell us about them and how it's gone down.
Well, we have a situation where it seems pretty apparent that the U.S. military, in particular the upper ranks, the U.S. military brass, and the White House are not on the same page about this kind of woke makeover for the United States. You know, a lot of the military brass are conservative folks, Christian, evangelical. Christianity is very big among them. They are traditional. They certainly don't want their kids going to school and reading Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States. But yet it seems like, in particular, the intelligence apparatus has argued that the United States needs a woke makeover. We need to show the world that we are the most anti-racist, the most pro-LGBT country in the world, that we go around liberating people from regimes that are too uptight and conservative. So while the intelligence apparatus and the media has decided we're going to have a woke makeover to make imperialism look hip, at the same time, we have a military brass that doesn't see things that way and has a very different narrative of world events. So Kamala Harris goes to, speak to the Navy graduates, and her jokes just fall flat. And then, we're heading, this is Memorial Day weekend. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, the day we commemorate those who died in wars. And we have Kamala Harris tweeting out, instead of honoring Memorial Day, we have her tweeting out, enjoy the long weekend. And people are seeing that as a subtle dig at the military. Look, there's long been a division within the U.S. structure and government apparatus between the military-industrial complex, which is a huge part of the U.S. economy, and, the folks that come out of Harvard and Yale and the intelligence apparatus, the Council on Foreign Relations, that strategically plan out how to market the United States around the world and covertly push soft power. And those two wings of the American apparatus, the American government, the American deep state, if you want to use those terms, they have long been at odds. There's been a lot written about that, about, the Anglo-American establishment, et cetera. And we're seeing these differences play out. And the fact that Kamala Harris didn't go over so well with the Navy graduates is just yet another incident in this long-standing disagreement beneath the surface.
Now, when the history of this recent period comes to be written, one of the most bizarre of many bizarre episodes will be the extent to which so many people in America came to believe that Donald Trump was somehow an agent of Russia. This despite the fact that Donald Trump caused more trouble for Russia than virtually any other president, imposed more sanctions, threatened Germany with the condign punishment for having the temerity in its own interest to have a pipeline for its gas supply from Russia and so on, the Nord Stream 2 project. In fact, Trump was wildly anti-Russian in his actions, and he was mercilessly flayed by the democratic establishment as such in politics and in the media, perhaps even especially in the media. How are they handling the fact that Joe Biden has now ended the threat of sanctions on the Nord Stream and will shortly meet the aforementioned Vladimir Putin?
Well, this points to kind of a long-standing irony in American politics. Look, Richard Nixon, he went and met with Mao in China. And why did Nixon, the conservative, the right-winger who took power on a platform of, going after the black liberation struggle and opposing the peace movement, why is it that he's the one that met with Mao? It's because no Democrat would ever get away with such a thing. A Democrat would have been called a communist and a traitor for meeting with Mao. So Nixon, a conservative Republican whose right-wing and anti-communist credentials were very high, he was able to do it. And you can see that parallel. Donald Trump took office being accused of being, quote-unquote, Putin's puppet, Russiagate hysteria. So on that basis, we saw Trump constantly trying to prove how anti-Russian he was, ripping up nuclear treaties. I mean, very dangerous. You can talk about the short-range treaty and the various agreements, nuclear agreements that he ripped up. You can talk about the attack on Germany and Nord Stream 2. The Trump administration was constantly on the defensive when it came to anything related to Russia. Meanwhile, Biden took office accusing Donald Trump of being soft on Russia, saying all kinds of nasty things about Russia. And now Biden is in office, and we're seeing suddenly the nuclear treaties are not being allowed to expire. We're seeing the possibility of there's going to be a summit soon between the two leaders, between Putin and Biden. And it seems like because Biden is not on the defensive, that gives him a little bit more of a free hand to possibly negotiate and improve relations. And this is the longstanding irony of American politics. People do the opposite of what they are accused of doing.
I genuinely don't want to be too disrespectful to your president, but many people in your country and elsewhere, I think, will be skeptical as to what extent President Biden is capable of having a proper summit with Vladimir Putin. I mean, it's the greatest mismatch since Rocky Marciano fought Jack Bodell, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed. Biden is tripping over his words and seems a little bit tired. And everyone knows that Russian President Vladimir Putin is a smooth actor. I mean, he doesn't miss a word. Everything is very careful and sharp and to the point. So it'll be certainly a contrast in styles and approaches when the two of them are standing next to each other.
Well, so was Rocky Marciano versus Jack Bodell, and it ended with Jack horizontal. Caleb Maupin, thank you as always for a wonderful tour of the horizon in the United States politics. Thank you for joining me. Now, Patrick Christie's